Greetings, I'm Rob Chappers.
And I'm a juicy sounding Les Paul.
You're not, you're actually Captain Lee from Andertons. .co.uk, here to bring you the latest guitars from Epiphone.
Epiphany.
Yeah.
I mean, Les Paul. Is there something right about getting a sort of a high gain amplifier and a bog standardy old Les Paul, plugging them in and just going,
Do you know where the term bog standard comes from, Lee?
I don't actually know. Where does it come
Bog
from?
standard comes, I understand, and I may be wrong, but it comes from Stephen Fry from QI. He knows all.
He knows everything.
Apparently, there was a toy called Meccano. I know because my father had Meccano.
So did I.
Did you really?
Meccano when you were a kid?
No, I'm a little tiny bit younger.
It was like metal things and you had spanners and you made cranes.
It was like proper Lego for men.
Yeah, it was a little bit like sort of engineer's Lego, wasn't
And it came in 3 different sizes of set. A box deluxe.
Right.
And a box standard. And children of the time that didn't know what deluxe meant would go, I want the box deluxe. And it ended up being spooned and changed around to dog's bollocks.
No.
That's what I hear from Stephen Fry.
And box standard became bog standard.
Bog standard. Yeah. Bog standard and bog's dollars. Get it? You love that fact, don't you?
I like that. I can see the first one. I can't see the.
Here's another
I can't
great
see the
fact
second
for
one.
you. This
Yeah,
is a great guitar.
Oh, okay.
Feels...
I thought you were going to tell me another bit of trivia.
No more trivia. Well, maybe later on. This feels, it's Epiphone. It's an affordable guitar for beginners, unless you want a budget and you want to play one as a backup or whatever. Feels really, really nice. Actually, one of the nicest feeling Epiphones I played in a long time.
Cool colour.
Very cool colour, and it sounds great.
It's called a classic
we are
T.
putting it through a really expensive hand-wired, beautiful amplifier, but it does sound. It sounds like a Les Paul through a gun.
Let me hear.
Valve
Give me some
amp.
woman tone, mate.
Woman tone.
Neck pickup.
There's woman tone for you, bro.
It's weird, isn't it? It's weird how it doesn't seem to matter whether it's an Epiphone Les Paul or a mid-price Gibson or a top-of-the-range Gibson. They all seem to have a certain.
I think it might be the density of bodywood and these wonderful passive ceramic humbuckers.
It could be. You never know. So there's really the classic T is a rosewood board, mahogany neck, mahogany body, maple top, kind of all the usual stuff. A little bit different to a standard in that it's got no. It's got no neck binding. The binding on the guitar is a sort of a black binding, so it's a sort of subtle binding.
You know what? Let me tune it because I'm pretty sure it's in tune. But it might not be if I do this.
It won't be if you do that.
Probably won't be if I do this. Now, I have tuned a guitar for years and years and years and know exactly how to do it. But if I was an absolute beginner, and I can recall being a complete beginner, and sometimes so one of the viewers spotted in my room a left-handed guitar and they asked why I had it on the rack. And the truth is that sometimes I do pick up a left-handed guitar and go, oh yeah, that's how it feels to be a complete beginner.
Kidding me.
No. And it makes you think about what people want in a guitar when they know nothing about playing and tuning and playing chords, and when they're trying to get the perspective of someone that's learning, pick up a left-handed guitar and try and play anything. So I couldn't even play it.
Are we badly out of tune here?
Well, I don't know, let's find out.
We're horrendously out of tune.
It's not great. So let's rectify that and pretend that I'm a complete beginner and I haven't had several months of just working out how to tune a guitar, because it is frustrating.
Yes.
Now, it might not be for everybody, but if you're a complete beginner, this could be something that would stop you from quitting learning the guitar. And we cannot have people quitting learning the guitar because you know what that leads to? Boyzone. It leads to Boyzone. It leads to every other...
One Direction.
One Direction. It leads to bad things. We need more guitar players in the universe giving us tone. So all I do is press a button, and this is just like plugging it into a tuner, but then rather than doing it myself, I just let the guitar do it for me.
So if you do, it's literally like, imagine you had a headstock tuner on the end of the headstock. In fact, I'll kind of show you essentially on this camera what Rob has on the back of his guitar is like this. So it's literally, imagine you've got a headstock tuner, and what you would do is exactly what Rob's doing. You'd drum a string, the tuner would light up to say whether you were flat or sharp, and you would adjust that machine head until it was in tune. Essentially, Rob's doing exactly the same thing, except that he's just not, the tuner is adjusting automatically for him. So there we are, he's back in tune.
Now, the thing is, I think a lot of reviews of these guitars are going to focus on Min-ETune, and they're going to forget the most important part of a guitar, which is the guitar. It's a great guitar. It sounds great, it plays great, it feels great. What more do you want? And it's got Min-ETune.
Yeah. Min-ETune, first and foremost, if you don't want to experiment with tunings at all, and you simply want to be able to tune your guitar, you could buy a regular guitar, stick a headstock tuner on there, and do it yourself. Or with Min-ETune, press a button, and you're kind of doing exactly the same thing, except that the physical things are just tuning it for you.
But also, if you kind of feel emasculated by the fact it does the work for you, then you can just turn it yourself.
Yeah, of course you can turn them yourself. So now I've got an acoustic guitar with me here, which is a solid spruce top, mahogany back and side, sort of dreadnought cutaway, nice sounding acoustic. We've not mic'd this specially. You're just hearing the mic that you're hearing us talk through. Oh, and I've...
You was playing around and you put it in open E.
I've blown that already, haven't I? Let me just...
put it back in standard, Lee.
I will put it back in standard. And we may actually just... So kind of a bit like Rob was saying about this. It's a nice guitar, it looks cool, it's comfy to play, it's got a nice volute.
Is Entertainer an Epiphone proprietary...
E-Performer, which is made for Epiphone by Shadow. So Shadow Pickups, good brand of pickup.
Very good brand.
So there's a pickup underneath the bridge here, which means I can plug this into a guitar amplifier or a PA or something. And it's, you know, it kind of looks a little bit like one. I guess it looks a little bit like probably the Gibson Songwriter sort of series. But there's lots of Epiphone acoustic guitars where they sort of copy some of the dearer Gibsons. But it plays good. You've got different colours. I'll put a link in the description below to show you the different colours. Likewise with that, you've got different colours. But maybe what you want to do is experiment with some different tunings.
You know what's interestingly?
What's that?
Is that we noticed online there was a little bit of down talk about the whole Min-ETune movement. And what was most interesting about that was that none of them had played it because they're not out yet.
You're talking about the 2015?
Yes, the 2015 Gibson models.
Yeah.
None of them had tried it. So it's physically impossible for them to have actually physically tried the system. And yet they were down talking the system.
So I think what Rob and
I think that's a sad reflection on Guitar Society.
Yeah, I mean what Rob and I think are going to pioneer is we're not necessarily going to say that we like everything that guitar manufacturers do, and we're not necessarily going to say that we dislike everything that manufacturers do.
No, and everything is a personal, subjective choice.
But what we are going to do is really, really try our best not to be judgmental about things that we haven't tried.
Yes. Because that's I tell you what, as a guy who's 39, who loves his old school Tellys, Les Pauls, Flying Vs, you know, we guitarists resist change. I resist change. However, sometimes things come along that might be useful for not yourself, but for other people. And if you forget what it's like to be a complete beginner, the absolute frustration of not knowing how to get it in drop D / F minor 11.
If guitar manufacturers didn't try different stuff, we wouldn't have Flying Vs or Explorers, or in fact, we wouldn't even have solid body guitars.
Well, it's like Floyd Rose bridges. If I'd said to YouTube nowadays, I've come up with a really cool idea for a Chapman guitar or any kind of guitar, and it's a bridge, but you can move it up and down, and it changes the tuning and it floats. A lot of guitar players would go, "That's a really stupid idea. It's never going to be in tune."
Imagine all the jazz fraternity of like sort of 19.
Oh, they probably love it.
I don't
Jazzers are mad. What I'm saying is, people tend to resist change. If you don't like it, don't try it. It's entirely your decision. You're not forced to like anything. But bear in mind, people that can't necessarily tune a guitar want to experiment with different tunings. Reading Tab and Ultimate Guitar, and they find out it's an open G. Don't know what that is. They bought a guitar 3 weeks ago and they want to just play. Yeah, this is a good system.
I mean, so Min-ETune has about a dozen different built-in tunings. Might even be more than that. So I'm in standard E, And one of the tunings that quite a few songs that I like were actually recorded in and are played in is open G. So what I'm doing is I'm turning the unit on,
So it's just a tuner.
Yeah, putting it into its sort of all string mode, finding the open G, which I know is the green G.
It does the basic adjustment straight away.
What it kind of does is it says, look, I know you were in E standard before.
Yeah.
And I know roughly how I've got to tighten or loosen the strings to get you to G, but it's not by any means supposed to be spot on first time. Now I'm in essentially like normal tuner mode, a little bit like you were. So on the back of the tuner, it's saying, look, these are the strings you need to continue to strum, so I can adjust it.
So it's just like a normal tuner. It goes green when it's in.
Exactly. And then essentially I do apologise, that was why it was taking. It was asking me to tune the B string, and I'm strumming the G string, which is why. So there we are.
So that was from standard to open G?
Standard to open G. So if you like that kind of like. Or I'd probably played that wrong. But of course, your classic. So anyway, what other songs? Led Zeppelin's Kashmir, which was recorded in.
Oh, there are loads of songs. Basically, it's a useful feature.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just wanted to, do, a drop D tuning. I know.
No, you know what I think is most useful?
One string.
The standard to E flat, because that's the main tuning I do when I'm jamming at home to backing tracks. Is I want to go from standard to Guns N' Roses tuning for the people, which is E flat.
So I'm going back to standard E tuning now. And you've got people will watch this on video and go, "Oh, a bit boring watching Lee do this," but it's really no different to if I just. In fact, a lot of the time, Rob and I are doing this all the time in normal videos. We just edit it out.
We stop it.
You don't see us doing
and we do it with a hand instead. In fact, earlier, what we did in film that was quite amusing was Rabia went, "Oh, I bet I could beat the auto tune and tune it down a whole tone all over." He was close, because he's a pro guitar player, but he didn't quite make it.
No, I mean I think most people would say that this is pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I'm back in E. I could go to E flat. So it's kind of cool, And I said this particular Min-ETune system, I think, when it was first introduced in the Gibson range, would have been on guitars that cost anything from around about £1,000 up to about £2,000. The cool thing now is that Epiphone have introduced them on guitars that are more like £400. So,
and this is the same Min-ETune system that you get on the really expensive Les Pauls.
It's Min-ETune itself is a standalone company. This is not a Gibson company. It's owned by a company called Tronical. So it's essentially just Gibson and Epiphone have just decided to buy them to fit to their guitars.
Yes. Let me just say, I'm not saying I'm going to go and get Min-ETune and fit it to all my guitars at home. But what I am saying is that if you're a beginner intermediate and you find tuning a bit of a pain in the ass, then this is actually quite a useful system for you.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, that's the kind of open-minded view that I think we just want to take on these kind of videos, which is just, think of the, just think, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I was even saying to Rob, Rob was kind of saying, so Lee, would you go and buy a guitar with a Min-ETune? And I was kind of going, actually, if I really, I would quite like to get into some of that sort of Black Crowsy kind of stuff where a lot of it's in G tuning. I would, or if I want to play slide, I was thinking, actually, particularly at these sort of prices, I'm thinking, yeah, do you know what? I probably would, but hey ho. And all that.
Hey ho.
Hey ho.
That's the most British thing anybody could ever say.
Tell me some more.
Do you want a quick blow on this, mate?
Yeah.
Or should we show the blue one?
Oh, well, the blue one's here.
Is it tuned?
I think it is.
It's tuned to anything.
Well, and even
click
if it
of a button.
What am I saying? Even if it isn't tuned, what's the problem? Right, so E flat is red mode B. So I press this twice. I go to red. Wrong button. I go to red mode B, press that, and it goes E flat. And I said, same as a normal tuner. So
That's pretty fast.
and what is it? And it's actually, it reckons it's pretty much done them all except the lowy. There we are.
Wow. So let me play an E chord. We're excited because we got a new amp in the room today, but we're not using it for this video.
What, a JCM 800?
We've got a JCM 800.
So there we are. Actually, I didn't have the volume up full on there. That's why it sounded a bit.
That's all right. Do some woman tone.
Okay, I'll do woman tone. I'll do woman tone. It does woman tone. I can officially confirm it does do woman tone.
Well, that's 400 quid for a guitar that tunes itself without unicorns.
Without unicorns or any other sort of Middle
That'd be
Earthian
great
magic.
if Epiphone did involve unicorns with their guitars.
That's the next generation of Min-ETune.
Yeah.
It's called Unicorn
Min-ETune.
Tune. Good
Unitune.
idea there. Let's work on that one.
I've been Rob Chapman.
And I've been the captain.
See you later.